Have you found yourself struggling to decide on or pick out a subject to draw or paint? There just seems too much choice. Or you see nothing that inspires you. Let me show you how I use one of these simple viewfinders to help with that, and it gives you a few other benefits too. First, here's how to make one. I like to make them so they fit into the sketchbook or pad that I'm using, and I cut the aperture to similar proportions to the paper I'll be using, or to a square shape. I'll show you 3 stages of using one of these viewfinders. Even if you're familiar with them, you may find some useful practice in these stages. Before you start though, it'll be helpful to get a pencil and your sketchbook or pad and trace around the inside of the viewfinder frame to put a series of boxes on the page. Let's start close up with what's nearby on surfaces and with a short time limit to help you get warmed up. I suggest 1 to 3 minutes. Just drop the viewfinder on any flat surface around you. Maybe not something totally featureless though. Anything with texture, color or shapes in it. And before starting a stopwatch, just spend some time looking at what you see within the frame. Start the timer and draw quickly and decisively. Don't worry about perfect accuracy. Just draw lines to follow any lines you see, outlines, shapes. Try to represent texture. Just get something down that approaches what you see there. A graphical note, if you like. Stop when the timer goes off. Get your breath back and give yourself a rest before moving the viewfinder to a new spot. Don't spend time choosing. Drop it in the general area and work with whatever it gives you. Remember, this is practice. Have a short break and look at what you've got from it so far. It's probably pretty abstract. That's good. If you want to, you could return to these later as much for relaxation as practice and tidy up lines, add shading or colors, turn them into small abstract pictures. Enjoy the process and what you've produced. The point of this is to practice observation of details and to find that you can create pictures and compositions from things you might not otherwise notice. Let me know in the comments how this bit has gone for you. Now let's go to stage 2, what I call the middle distance, using the viewfinder for something roughly within or just out of reach. I'll show you this with a still life and then a couple of examples I did outside in the garden. You could do either or just use whatever's in your room. In fact, if you don't normally feel any inspiration in the room that you're in, that could be a really good place to do this. Start by holding up the viewfinder and looking around, noticing what's in the frame. When something catches your eye, makes a composition, work with that. Don't spend time creating doubt about whether it's worthy of your attention. If you've noticed it, that's your subject for now. Give yourself a little longer this time, perhaps 5 to 10 minutes. You'll do a couple of these. You may need to keep checking through the viewfinder. If you can and want to, you could attach the viewfinder to a support to save your arm. You'll see how I did this in the garden using a couple of spring clamps on a stick and a handy rock. Later I'll show you another tip too. As you did earlier, aim to capture all the main lines and shapes, not too fine details, and don't let the pursuit of accuracy stop you capturing all the main stuff. You may start to notice how your viewfinder can also be an aid to composition, especially with things like landscape and still life. How did this section go? If you're finding value in this, please give the video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And if you want to support the channel further, then there's a link in the description. Thank you very much. In the third phase, we'll use the viewfinder to look at far off subjects. This is where using a support for the viewfinder can be useful. I've just made a little viewfinder, a very small one, out of a piece of old card and clipped it onto the peak of my cap. We'll see how it goes. I gave it a try last night with a still life and it seemed to work quite well. I've prepared my pad here just with some little frames drawn from the viewfinder. They're roughly the same sort of proportion as the page, and this is just to keep any drops of rain from interfering too much with this if we get any rain coming in, which we might do soon. And as you can see, having quite a few clips is quite a good idea. These sorts of clips are really useful as well. You can get them in different sizes, little tiny ones, medium ones, and you can get much bigger ones as well. And a few of these are really handy too. So I'm just looking back up to one of my first views and just using I'm really simplifying the shapes almost geometrically here. In fact, I'll go all the way and I'll just use geometric shapes. So I'm just referring to the landscape as a set of shapes, really. And that way you can produce quite an interesting framework to develop a picture. I like these tall chimneys on the glass factory, so they sort of stand out in nice contrast to the rest of things. This next one I'll do with a sort of watercolour pencil. I might just put a little wash over this bit as well. So again, I'm just looking at this, and I'm not spending too much time on this to try and get everything perfect. You can obviously spend longer if you want to. I'm noticing a little splash of colour there. That's quite interesting. When you've finished, look back at what you've done. What went well? What would you change? What did you discover on the way? In the next video in this series, I'll introduce you to an approach I've used for landscapes for several years now, and it helps me to focus in more clearly, beyond just the visual elements of what I see. And it helps me to get a deeper idea of how the image may develop. I hope you found value in this. Please let me know how you get on, and any questions in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you next time. And that should do there.